Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Monday, December 15th, 2025 Board of Education meeting to order at 7 p.m. We'll begin by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The challenge. Okay. Let's see here. Amanda, would you please read the mission statement?
Sure. The Orange Elementary School District recognizes that the education of each child is the shared responsibility of every member of our community. Our goal is to inspire and empower each student to achieve academic excellence, embrace social and individual responsibility, and lead with integrity. We believe all individuals should be valued and treated with respect. Together, we will make a difference.
Thank you for that. We'll go ahead and we'll begin the meeting with board introductions. We'll start off with Lauren.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us here and at home, and happy holidays.
Hi, Anthony Scarinzi.
Hello, Ronette James.
Amanda Zapatka.
Hello, Ken Ziman.
Susan Riccio.
Tatiana Messina Mullen.
Jeff Cap.
Good evening, Betty Hadlock.
Good evening, everyone. Erin Wilson.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to public participation. Do we have any public participation this evening? If so, you'll just walk up to the podium, state your name and your address, and you have 2 minutes, and I will let Betty go ahead and...
Okay. Speakers may offer objective comments to the board concerning school operations and programs. Comments will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. The board encourages speakers not to express personal complaints or defamatory comments about the Orange Board of Education personnel or any person associated with the Orange Public School System. Comments about security issues, matters related to due process, negotiations, or grievances will not be permitted. Consistent with the principles of the Federal Education Right to Privacy Act, known as FERPA, discussions about students are prohibited absent a written parent waiver. Public participation does not allow for a two-way conversation between the board and the participants. We thank you for expressing your thoughts and opinions, and all comments will be taken into consideration. Thank you for coming tonight.
How about now? Okay. Still Josh Orlinsky, 355 Miles Road. I had planned to speak this evening regardless a few weeks ago, and after this past weekend, it felt even more poignant to keep my remarks. So I wanted to discuss for a few moments the lockdown situation that happened. First off, I want to thank Miss Lasto and Miss Watson. I thought that they did a fantastic job handling everything. I want to thank the custodians, the Orange Police Department, the teachers, the staff, and the bus drivers as well, because I think without all of them, it wouldn't have gone as smoothly as it did. I want to also reiterate that I have absolutely no problem at all with Ms. Lasso's wording on any of the messages she sent out. I thought it was appropriate. I thought that the words that she used were, again, appropriate and thoughtful. I did want to, and I know this is not a Q&A, but I did want to ask, or at least bring up a couple things for the board to think about. The first is I realize that there are many moving parts in our district with so many schools and the shuttle bus, but the fact that the lockdown was called at Peck and then the buses from the shuttles continued to go to Peck afterwards, I think it's something that should be discussed for security matters, because if that was, God forbid, the worst case scenario, I would not imagine a worse thing than for the kindergartners to be then entering that scene. So I'd like to bring that up for the board to discuss when they feel it's appropriate. On top of that, I don't know if that was a breakdown in communication, but I am aware that there are multiple bus companies, and you are dealing with a large network of schools and administrators and teachers and staff. And so I think it's important that, you know, as an example, in my school district where I teach, when we have that situation, we unfortunately have more of those than thankfully Orange does. There's one communication and one set of communications that goes out to everyone, and it's almost instantaneous. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was I got the message from Ms. Lasto at 2:39 p.m. because I have a child at Peck Place. That was minutes after, I guess, the lockdown was called. I also have a child at MLT, and I did not get a message from an MLT until 3:14, which is almost more than a half hour later. So if I didn't have a kid at Peck, I would not have been messaged until after my child would have been regularly scheduled to be picked up. My kid normally gets off the bus at 3 o'clock outside of my house. I didn't get a message from MLT until 3:15. So I can, and again, just imagining my fear when I'm out there at 3 o'clock and it's 3:05 and it's 3:10 and I don't see my son and I don't see a bus and I've gotten no communication whatsoever. So the fact that there was a full 35-minute gap between the messaging that went out from Peck and MLT, I think, again, that could be something that the board could look into as far as making sure that the communication is a little bit more universal. Again, more than anything, I'm super thankful that we have the systems in place already that we do, the people that we have in place already. I'm super thankful that it was not an emergency situation and that we have someone as dedicated as Ms. Lasto who, in her words, made a very strong statement about her commitment to our kids and our families and our community. Extraordinarily thankful for that. I just wanted to bring up those points again, because these are things in my district. I'm involved on the team that does the planning for these measures, and we have things in place to address those issues. So the issue of the kids on the shuttle bus going to a school that's in lockdown and making a more universal, instantaneous communication, if it's not already being discussed, I would love for that to happen. So thank you for the time. I appreciate it, and good evening.
All right, thank you for that and sharing all that information with us. Any other public participation?
Good evening, everybody. Lauren Gray, 205 Wilson Road. I realize I'm on the Board of Education, but this wasn't on the agenda tonight. So before we proceed with tonight's agenda, I do want to ask everyone present for a moment of silence. I really want to pause to honor the victims of Sandy Hook Elementary School. The anniversary was yesterday, and all the students and educators whose lives were taken and whose loss continues to resonate so deeply within our community here and across Connecticut. Even more relevant and recent right now, I also want to acknowledge the lives we just lost, including the ones at the mass shootings at the Hanukkah event in Bondi Beach in Australia and at a classroom at Brown University really close by in Rhode Island. These tragedies occurred in really different places, but they reflect a shared reality of grief and loss that extends beyond any single community, and it's one we know here really well, unfortunately, in Connecticut. And as parents, public servants, community members, moments like this really call us to reflect not only on those we have lost, but on the values all of us really strive to uphold, and that's safety, compassion, and care for one another. So I'd like to now ask that we observe a moment of silence in remembrance of all those we've lost. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. Any other public participation? Okay, we'll move on to our consent agenda. I'll need a motion to accept the first item under the consent agenda. The first item is the minutes from the November 17th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes from the November 17th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. Tatiana, second. Susan, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that was unanimous. Thank you. And now I need to move on to the minutes from the November 20th, 2025 Board of Education special meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes from the November 20th, 2025 Board of Education special meeting? Motion. Who was first? Amanda, okay. Anthony, I'll take you a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? You got that? Okay, thank you. Okay, before we move over to the superintendent's report, I'd like to let the board members know that the subcommittee member applications are on your desk. Please select 3 committees you are interested in for review and submit your forms to Darlene by January 5th, if not very soon. Committee assignments will be handed out at the January meeting, and you should have that packet right in front of you, and it should look like so, with the square box. Item number 1 for the exhibit. Okay. Now we'll move over to our superintendent's report. I'm going to go over to Dr. Scarpetti.
Good evening, Mr. Cap and the rest of the board members. I hope everyone watching at home had an enjoyable Thanksgiving. And before the district goes on the winter break, Tuesday of next week, we are in the thick of the winter concerts. As a friendly reminder to all the board members, if you are planning on attending, this is not any pressure. We just want to make sure that there's a seat for you, a parking spot for you. Please let Darlene know so we could plan for that. At your seats, there's 2 flyers. For those of you that are unaware, the BOA superintendents, Bethany, Orange, Woodbridge, and Amity, we meet monthly. So there's 2 things that were shared in the board update, and I believe you also had an email from Amity about the BOA Elected Officials Day. Just so for people that haven't experienced, usually members that have attended it, they attend the January 30th. That's when they go to Amity Middle School Orange campus, and then from there they go to the Amity Regional High School. So again, if you are willing to and able to attend, I think it's a great day for you to get to know where our students go and all the work that they do in Amity. If you could email an RSVP, Cecilia, that's Dr. Byers, administrative assistant, by January 23rd, that would be great. I plan to attend. I know some of you already share that you're attending, so that's a piece that if you're able to, I highly recommend that. The other is you'll see about start time. There was an ad hoc committee created by Amity, and they asked to join the BOA meeting. So the chair of the ad hoc committee and 2 other members were informing us they are looking into changing start times at Amity. Wanted us to be aware of it, number 1, and number 2, if we would be interested in this. I know Bethany already, I believe, talked to their board. They are not interested at this time. I spoke to the union reps of the principals and administrators and the teachers. With us, our contract is very specific of start times, and it will also impact many other things. But this would be a board decision. I know recently we talked about roles and responsibility, what falls under the superintendent, what falls under the board. And so if anyone thinks of any interest with this, please email Mr. Cap, because I think, Mr. Cap, you may be reached out in the near future, or myself. At this time, I would agree with Bethany. I would not recommend us doing this. We are in a contract with the teachers for the next 2 years. In addition, we'll see where they evolve with Amity, but they do ask for us to get back to them by January 8th. So that's 2 pieces from BOA. Coincidentally, I was going to talk about the Peck Place lockdown drill too. Number 1, I want to thank people and their feedback, positive feedback. I think you've heard me say the statement, you either contributing or contaminating, and there's no in between. Contributions that you've just heard represented by public participation or emails received, those are helpful. We want those. Part of my update to all of you, when that occurred, this was at dismissal time. I wish it was during the day. It would have been a little bit more cleaner to deal with, but I think it was a good practice. And when this drill happens, well, I should take that back. We didn't know it was a drill. When that alarm goes off, we have to react as if something is occurring. And we do that in collaboration with the police department, fire marshal. Again, I can't extend my gratitude towards the staff, the students, the police department, the fire marshal, central office staff that were on board immediately. But with any of these situations, we could get better. And what I mean by that, the following day, the police spoke with the staff and we received feedback. So some of the things are what you heard at public participation. And just one quick piece, everything is situational. The buses did go there because they knew that by that time it wasn't a true threat, and that's why they were okay attending that. But there were some pieces about communication about what police has the authority to do versus us, because as mentioned earlier, there was a time gap between what Peck Place heard besides the MLT parents, so that was a topic of conversation. The other piece that we received feedback is about communication that just went by email, where typically it goes to phone message and text. So that was another good feedback that we were provided, that everything should be in contact. Again, I think one of the situations why we were immersed in it is that we want to make sure to give as much information as we can. There's less characters that we could put in a text message and a phone, but again, top part of that conversation was we could just simply say, please look at your email, or please look at, if a text message, please check out your email. So we've engaged in those conversations. The point of conversations that we had, even though there were more officers involved, were our school resource officers. And again, shout out to Detective Bailey and Arterbane, who immediately responded along with the other law enforcement officers of the Orange PD. But I did ask them, I said, you know what, I'm going to be talking about this at a board meeting. Is there any time that you may be available to present to the board? Some things are private, some things we can't share out, but they said, absolutely. I said, well, let me see what kind of questions that I may receive at the board meeting to help you present, and knowing that it is situational and things may change. I know Mrs. Watson received an email from a parent from another school, and she heard what occurred. She goes, so what would happen at Turkey Hill? And Mrs. Watson responded, the principal at MLT said, again, it's situational. If it was something that occurred exactly like Peck, kids would be brought there because they knew quickly that it was not a true attack on the school. But other situations, we have contingency plans. And it's other areas in the town. Sometimes we don't go to specificities of that because we don't know what the intent of people that may want to harm our students or staff, but they are more than willing to come to present. But even though there were learnings that we've had, we appreciate those learnings, but I do want to say the system worked. People could give feedback, and again, I appreciate the contributions that people gave in a respectful, professional way to our staff, because it helped us, it helped the police, it helped conversations of, we may thought of one thing about communication where the police thought of other. So those are the collaborative pieces we're going through, but it worked. The teachers responded as they did, students responded as they did, the police responded immediately. Again, no one knew that this unfortunately was inadvertently, the system was activated inadvertently by someone inside, but it worked. So those are the pieces. So again, I know I have other things to report, but don't know if there's any questions before I go on with regarding this. I'll be more than happy to address what I can. But as all of you know, and especially the ones that have been on committees leading up to this, we don't share much information, and that's intentional. I know when the previous district, I was on the committee when this was all forming, unfortunately, because of Sandy Hook. One of the things that I was proud about when I came here to Orange was so ahead of the game. But one of the things that we had as a mantra is that safety is inconvenient. No matter of when we went through a process of, getting teachers' feedback, and again, this was my previous district, about, well, it locks this way and I can't this way. Yeah, it's going to be inconvenient. Or, we were outside, it's going to be inconvenient. And I do apologize to the parents of any inconvenience that we caused. We know that was unnerving and alarming. I'm sure it was extremely scary of having to see all the response is that we have and waiting in line. But again, please know that the system did work the way it was supposed to. So I'll just take a little pause. Again, I have other things to report, but didn't want to go on and come back. But any questions that anyone that may have?
Thank you so much for that update. The rough equivalent I experience as a nurse is the code button. Like, if there's a code and there's an emergency, we push the code button. Sometimes we're not sure if it's the right call or not the right call. There's a gray area. Sometimes we push it inadvertently, and we know immediately that was the wrong button to push. We should have pushed the yellow button instead or whatever. And sometimes it is truly an emergency, a true emergency, and we need the whole team to come immediately. Is there any information that you can share, understanding that it's sensitive, about what the timeline was between the activation and the awareness that it was, for lack of a better phrase, not real?
I don't know off the top of my head. It was fairly quickly after the police arrived.
Okay, thank you.
And by the way, which I forgot to add, and this is part of the conversation, is even when we realize that there wasn't a threat at the school, the process still has to follow through. And that's where it gets unnerving, where conversations occurred at that meeting. Is there any way that we could expedite that? Yes, knowing that these things need to be done, but knowing that it's not a threat, is there any other way that we could do that we're comfortable knowing, especially when parents are there? Again, it was the timing was not all that great, but again, I'm glad that it did occur when it did, because it shows that the system did work.
I know we've already talked about this issue, but just for the people at home who might not know about, MLT and the contingencies there. So just to clarify, what you said and what we talked about is, in a real situation, the MLT bus full of kindergartners would not go to an active lockdown situation if it was, the worst case scenario. Thank goodness it wasn't. Everybody did so great. I heard about it from my son Amias, who was on the kindergarten bus at Peck. And he was like, oh, we were fine. But just to reassure parents, during a real situation, the kindergarten bus or another bus would not go to an active lockdown. And I know that's what you were trying to say, but just to clarify that.
Yeah, hopefully I wasn't trying. Hopefully it came across that I did say it that way. But that being said, yes, because, these are the pieces. And again, I hate if I'm coming across ambiguous to anyone at home. It's for a reason, or to any of my board members. I apologize for that, but conversations did happen. They continue to happen. Again, we always learn from every event that occurs. I think not too long ago, Mr. Gray, you could help me out. I know that happened, and I think it was last year, Turkey Hill, but it was right after dismissal, so everything was gone. But then we were dealing with 21st century. So there are pieces, but is there learning that we could have had? Yes, I think the biggest piece is the communication with the text or a phone call, just to direct people to, or parents to an email. And the other pieces is what was even brought up in public participation, as though, again, what we may have directed of when we could share another email versus what the conversation was afterwards. There was a learning with that too, so.
And thank you for the follow-up email the next day, too, from Mrs. Lasto. That was really great as well. So I appreciate the email that went out from Ms. Lasto the next day, too.
And again, this is where I know it's said that we are in a society that needs instant gratification, immediate, and we understand that. And I think even going back of what we shared and even calls that I've had to deal with, you may not get a response right away. The adults are focusing on your children. That's the first step. And again, I'm grateful for what occurred and how the students and staff responded. But were there learnings? There were, and we're talking about it and addressing that.
Dr. Scarpetti, this is probably an obvious answer, but when you do have a planned lockdown drill, are all procedures followed up until from beginning to end? Is that just standard?
They are.
Thank you.
So thank you for that time for that, because I did want to update, and thank you for additional feedback. As we continue, speaking about buses and where they go, I'm happy to say that I completed my bus tour today. It was great driving with the students and reconnecting with the bus drivers. Thank you allowing for me to ride on your buses. It's a great piece to really connect with the kids outside, so I want to thank everyone that allowed me to visit the buses and hang out with the kids for a while. As Mr. Gray shared at the previous Finance Subcommittee meeting, we are continuing to progress through the budget process and preparations for the next budget year. All 26-27 department budget requests have been submitted to the central office. This week, all department heads will continue to meet and review their budget request. I will then reach out to Mrs. Riccio, as I have in the past, and to Mr. Cap to review the budget workshop expectations. This email will go out, but if you want to make a note, the budget workshop will be held on Thursday, January 29th. Again, that's Thursday, January 29th. You may write it down now if you like, but if not, we're going to be sending out, and that starts at 5 p.m. We will have a board meeting on January 20th. That's already on, or should be on your calendar, or you should already be aware of that. And typically, and again, I defer to Mr. Cap, but I know we have some new board members. Typically, the February board meeting is canceled, and we have a budget meeting that night. But again, I defer to Mr. Cap, but just so people could start planning ahead. And if needed, more meetings could be requested, and we could provide that. Also, in addition, to talk about the 26-27, regarding preschool, that tuition increased from $3,250 to $3,500. Again, this is in coordination with BOW, Bethany Orange Woodbridge. We all follow that same salary, tuition. Doesn't mean that we can't go outside that, but that's typically what we've done. And so that, again, has increased $250 for the tuition for the preschool program. In addition to that, the preschool lottery has opened. Eligible Orange families can call the Special Services Department to put their 3 or 4-year-old in the drawing. Postings about the lottery can be found on the district website, so if anyone at home is watching, you go on the district website, you don't have to search it. There's a pop-up window that pops up right away. You click on and there's information. In addition, it's on local publications, school newsletters, and the PTO and PTAs were also asked to put it on the social media page. Past board meetings and on our board update that I've sent to you, and again, the Capital Planning Committee. Thank you to the Building and Grounds for getting together, and then we eventually shared it with all the entire board. We submitted that request to Mr. Cifarelli, and Mr. Gray and I presented last Wednesday, December 10th, and actually had a follow-up meeting today at 11 a.m. As a reminder, this is not just all us, meaning the Board of Ed, this is all the departments presenting, and they may be asking us as a follow-up to ask additional questions with our request, and then we hear later on in the year of what we may receive. We encountered our first inclement weather event today, and actually yesterday. So I want to extend gratitude to Mr. Gray, the maintenance and custodians. They were here all day yesterday. Donnie Fourier and the Highway Department. We were able to be in school today on time because of their hard work. And some board members were complimenting on the work that's been done, but that's throughout the town. And so again, just wanted to thank everyone for their support in getting our schools ready today. And then lastly, I just want to wish everyone an enjoyable winter break. Happy holidays to everyone here and at home, and we look forward to seeing all of you in 2026.
Thank you for your report. Does anyone have any questions? Ken?
Dr. Scarpetti mentioned that they wanted a result, or they wanted whether we wanted to go along with the change in schedule or not by January 8th. So this would probably be the time to.
We could discuss whatever to, and I defer to Mr. Cap. That's something that was on the flyer. Again, I don't know how quickly they're going to move. My understanding is this was brought to the Amity board. I don't know if it was by one board member or two or more than that, and an ad hoc committee was then created, and so they asked to attend the BOA meeting. Again, the flyer that you have there, which is in front of me also, that was given to us and just explained. I'm not too sure where Amity is. It's not like they're definitely doing it. I think they're just investigating it. And this is something they may do without the elementary schools, Bethany, Orange, and Woodbridge, or may not. But I defer to you, Mr. Cap, with that question.
Yeah, just a little feedback is, we would have to redo all the contracts, like Dr. Scarpetti said.
I'm ready to make a motion.
And, I mean, if you just want to say what you would make a motion for it, because I don't have this on the agenda for us to really vote on, so.
Well,
So we-
I know it's not on the agenda.
What we could do, Mr. Cap, to Mr. Zyman, is what we could do is I could respond to Amity if they're not asking for a motion per se.
Okay.
But since it's not on the agenda, two things could happen. We could vote to put it on the agenda, number
Correct.
one. Or two, we could wait for the January meeting, and I could say there will be a response by them, and they would have to wait after that.
Okay, because I was just trying to pull up our January meeting date,
It's like the 20th.
20th, so until the 20th, so, yeah.
If we do not wish to adjust our start times, does that mean that they can't?
They can, but the biggest impact will be buses.
Okay,
So now, I'm not too sure, but they stated here about a half an hour difference. So again, that would fall around the same start time as our students. So that means that there would be a cost to our budget line item for buses, and conversely, their budget line item for buses.
Yeah, so, I mean, we can discuss really quick how you're feeling.
Make a motion now.
But would you want to make,
We'll wait till January.
okay,
I have my opinion.
We can, I mean, because all we have to do is vote
Yeah.
to put the voting on the agenda to amend the agenda. We can,
correct.
feel it's important.
Well, we have to make a decision that they're going to request an answer.
Go
I've
ahead.
already gotten mine.
Okay. Well,
I'd like to make a motion to add this to the agenda today.
okay. Do I have a second then? Lauren? Okay. Discussion? Okay, all in favor? To add the,
The discussion.
the discussion?
Add the discussion.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna, that was unanimous?
Yeah.
Okay, so we will add that to the, our agenda, and I will make that the first item after, after our reports. We'll discuss that. Okay? Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Dr. Scarpetti? No? Did you have anything else to report on?
Nothing at this time, Mr. Cap.
Okay, thank you then. We'll move over to Mr. Gray.
Good evening, everyone. I'll start with a review of grant funding for the district. The first grant I'll review is the Summer Mental Health Support Grant. Again, this grant supports the delivery of mental health services to students during the summer months. This is a 3-year grant. The first 2 years, this grant was funded at 100%. We are in third year, so we're being funded at 70%. It's $35,000. We have not yet spent it because it is for this upcoming summer. So that will be spent down during the summer months in 2026. The next grant is School Mental Health Specialist. Again, another 3-year grant. This is supporting a second social worker in district. The first 2 years, the salary was supported at 100%. This year is supported at 70%. 30% of it is in our operating budget. Next year, that full salary will go into our operating budget. You'll see that during our budget workshop. It is already in there. And that does pay for the full salary for a social worker. The Consolidated Title III grant, which is for language instruction program assistance for students receiving EL, is an $18,000, $225 grant. We've spent about 2/3 of that grant. We have approximately $5,900 left for the remainder of this school year. And finally, the Primary Mental Health Grant, which services early detention programs for emotional behavioral learning problems at the K to 3 grade levels. $16,600 grant. We've spent about $4,000 of that and have about $12,000 remaining, again, till the remainder of this school year. Under food services, we're on track with our USDA funding for National School Lunch Program. The Connecticut State Department of Education received the funding necessary to support our reimbursements for our November meal claims, which will be paid in December. As always, I do want to say that families can find updated information regarding free and reduced lunch applications and other relevant information at our website, oess.org, under Food Services tab. I'm going to reiterate a little bit of what Dr. Scarpetti has already said. The budget, the 26-27 budget is well underway. As Dr. Scarpetti mentioned, we're meeting with the directors and principals to review their initial budget requests. We've also set up some of our follow-up budget meetings as necessary, and the first budget workshop is set for Thursday, January 29th. I do want to take a moment to thank the Finance Department, who've done a great job. This is the time of year where we're living in 3 years because we're auditing 24-25, we're operating in 25-26, and we're looking at 26-27. So there's a lot going on. It gets a little confusing, especially when the auditors are coming in and they're looking for information and you're trying to remember what budget you're in. I do want to say, Christine Koch, Tina Fox, Angela Booth, and Connie D'Amico do a great job in our finance office, so kudos to them.
Barbara, too. Just Barbara also.
Oh, and I'm sorry, yes, also Barbara Boyle, who's part of the special ed department, but also does some of the budgeting for the special ed department. Thank you, Dr. Scarpetti. The audit is, as I just mentioned, is on track. This is the agreed-upon procedures audit package for 24-25. Statutorily, this is due by February 2nd, 2026. We plan to have it done December 31st. We are on track. They were working remotely with our payroll and accounts payable this past week, getting some information, so they're putting a lot of work into that. And that concludes the finance portion of my report.
Thank you for that part. Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay, go ahead.
All right, facilities. We have the upcoming holiday recess coming up, and our custodians take this time to take advantage of conducting some of the cleaning they don't always get to at a deeper level. So they'll be doing things such as power washing our bathrooms, sanitizing the high-use touch points throughout the building, scrubbing floor surfaces, re-waxing some of the floors, so kind of bringing the buildings back up to where they were at the start of the school year. And they'll probably do that again during the April break as well, so a couple times during the year, really refreshing the buildings. And I also wanted to just go and speak a little bit about what Dr. Scarpetti mentioned about the inclement weather. I used to love snow. I'm not so much a fan anymore. But we did encounter our first inclement weather event of the school year over the weekend. I just really want to thank our custodians and our maintenance supervisor for their work yesterday. It was a long day, and it's a Sunday, and, it's tough to drag them out of bed in the morning on a snowy day and come and clean snow all day long. But they did a great job. The parking lots look fantastic. The sidewalks were spotless. And I also want to thank Donnie Foyer and the Department of Public Works for their work. They come through the lots and they lay down a layer of salt, which does the finishing touch on our lots. So we were able to be here today and get the school day in. So kudos to all of those people. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you for that. Does anyone have any questions? Go ahead.
Just gratitude for the incredible work. I was physically at Turkey Hill and MLT today. I'm driving around, walking in and out of the school, parking, et cetera, and there is not a drop of snow or ice. It is exquisite. I cannot say the same for my own driveway at home, but I know how hard they work, and truly, truly excellent job. You can tell the care and dedication they put into this. And as a nurse, I'm always thinking of slips and falls and injuries and hip fractures, and there is essentially no risk for that with this incredible work that they did in the I know Turkey Hill and MLT, but I'm sure all the schools look equally as excellent. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay. We'll move over to Dr. Russo.
Thank you, Mr. Cap. Good evening, everyone. I'll start the curriculum report with some information about professional learning, the leadership professional learning first. As you know, we are engaged in professional learning with CAPS, the Connecticut Association of Public School Superintendents, and we are cohort 5 for the master class for Science of Reading. We've completed 2 modules, an introductory one and the phonological awareness. We are getting ready for the comprehension one. We have also completed a nice draft of our district literacy plan, which we will be submitting soon. For our teachers, we continue with our math professional learning sessions, and all those details are linked to the professional learning calendar. You can see how we finished up in November, up until December 11th sessions, and then you can look forward to see what we have scheduled for January sessions for math and making sure teachers are comfortable with that new resource that we did introduce. And then we have started preparing our professional learning sessions for March. One of the little pieces we'd like to share with tonight, which we also shared in the board update, is a small session for our grade 3 through 6 teachers on cursive writing. We do plan to engage in a pilot with certain classes starting on National Handwriting Day, which is John Hancock's birthday on January 23rd. We're excited about that. And then the learning with from that resource with our pilots will be shared with our staff at the March professional learning session. And we do currently teach cursive. This is just to enhance and make sure that we include the latest research on cursive writing. We've done a great job with the handwriting for kindergarten and first grade, and this, in addition to our computer keyboarding skills, will round out our writing, or the mechanics of. And then lastly, I would just like to share that thanks to the feedback from our curriculum subcommittee members and our own internal feedback, we did prepare an updated communication for report cards in which we included for parents all of the standards, which I thought actually was pretty impressive when we were looking at it, all of the standards for all of the subjects, and then which standards were prioritized for reporting on a legal document such as a report card, and providing parents with sample report cards for all 3 trimesters for all the grade levels, with a video for MLT parents, since it's the first time that they have an opportunity to really understand standards-based grading and, you know, what is a proficiency scale and how we try to identify conditions for success, like what does success look like, either with instruction, independent, with parts of a standard or all parts of a standard. And so we continue to try to get better with that communication, because we understand that standard-based grading is actually more complex than you think, so.
And Dr. Russo, if I may interrupt you one quick second. So again, this is where we appreciate our subcommittee meetings. As a feedback that we received from our subcommittee members, we already had videos that needed to be updated. For all of you, I know there was a lot of information in the most recent board update, but if you haven't had the chance, I do recommend you, because not only will you hear Dr. Russo's melodious voice as she guides, it's really prescriptive of how and to guide a parent through this report card. And what's great is they could stop and listen to it again until it sinks in and process it. And for those parents who are listening at home, if that is still not meeting your needs, please, please, please reach out to the schools if we need to set up a meeting with you, with the teacher or the principal, to have a sit down, but you have it as a visual and a video. But if you need some additional support or guidance, please reach out to our schools.
And lastly, we always say that the report card is just one way to communicate progress. we prefer, if anybody has any questions, as Dr. Scarpetti said, to please reach out to us. And that concludes my report, Mr. Cap.
Thank you so much for that. Go ahead, Tatiana.
Dr. Russo, I have two quick questions. The first one, the videos you're referring to, is that in reference to the new report cards that were referenced at a different meeting, I want to say, or am I mistaken about that?
It's really more about standards-based grading and how standards on the report card were selected. Like, we have criteria for the selection and what those actually were, because, well, actually, I'm sorry, I take that back, because now I forget what I put in that video, but it was really more about explaining the report card and what you would see, because there are headings and categories that don't tell you which standard we're reporting on. And so that is the tricky part, because there are so many standards and they fall under different categories for different subjects. So it was a video to try to explain that.
Okay, so as it stands now, the report cards that we get as parents are going to remain as is. There's no changes being made to those types of report cards. Is that?
Now, moving forward, there won't be, but for this was the first time that all subjects relied on a proficiency scale.
I see.
So before, it was just English language arts and math, and now it's all subjects. So that was a big shift for us, shifting all subjects to standards-based grading.
Gotcha. And second of all, the cursive writing program, the one that we currently have in effect, are all third grade teachers required to teach that?
Yes, all third grade teachers teach cursive, especially making sure that students know how to sign their names, because that was important. But now we're going to enhance what we currently do so that, especially for grade 5, looking at primary sources for the American Revolution, so many of those are written in cursive, and we're doing a little bit more of a deeper dive there,
Gotcha. Thank you.
of course.
Betty?
Thank you, Dr. Russo. It's good to hear that that was all updated. I know we did have long conversations about that. And is there any way for you to know how many parents took advantage of looking at this information, or have you gotten any feedback from teachers after they had their conferences that parents seemed to be more understanding, of what was being discussed? I don't know if you have any information
Well,
about that.
we did ask, did anybody reach out because they maybe had, some questions? And we didn't, so, but we should be able to check to see about who watched the video.
And especially, through the PTOs and A's, that's something that we'll typically do, and we'll bring that up to the principals.
Thank you.
Anyone
Thank
else?
you.
Anthony?
Real quick, the new cursive curriculum, that sounds great. I'm actually excited about that. Is that staying? It's going to be a permanent going forward? Or is it not temporary, but I guess going?
So that resource, in the beginning, it's really grades 3 through 6. So it, like anything, it will take a little bit of time to get everybody with that resource, to be familiar with the resource and using that resource. But then it really is introduced in grade 3. And then we just continue using it 4, 5, and 6.
Again, one of the pieces that came up with this Mr. Scarinzi, and again, this is where we appreciate the contributors of positivity, talking to parent feedback. It's great that we do it in 3rd grade, right? So a student hopefully knows how to sign their name, and again, we're living in a different world and society of how many times we're even actually writing now, no matter if it's in print or cursive. But then it's like, do they sustain even just the bare minimum of their signature after 3rd grade? So these were the kind of conversations that we want to kind of follow through, not only in 3rd, but now 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Lauren?
I just wanted to say, I'm not surprised there was no feedback because that video was so good and like really explained the process. I think it was Ken that said at a meeting, like 90s parents, this isn't your like 90s report card, and that was entirely correct. That it's not the report card I grew up with, so your video really helped explain it. So thank you for that, because I felt like I really understood it and it was very easy to follow and read, so thank you.
I'm so glad, thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you all for that. Okay, we'll move over to board business. We're going to start with item 0, which is Amity School start time discussion. As Dr. Scarpetti mentioned, on your desk, you should have everyone received the handout, right? Okay, so everyone should have the handout that goes over all this and everything. Dr. Scarpetti, did you want to add stuff?
If I could.
Sure, go ahead.
So, again, just a few of the things that are part of this conversation. The contract is a huge piece, affecting Orange teachers who are parents who have already secured what their system is like with their families regarding babysitting after school, affecting 21st Century, also affecting, they're talking about people who are going to any religious schools afterwards, Holy Infant or Shalom, sports, how that's going to be impacted at night. We already talked about buses. So those were the big pieces. They talked about daylight saving times, but that's the feedback that I received from both unions.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So is this, I understand it's a conversation, and they want some feedback. Yes, I was saying that I understand that it's a conversation that's been started, that there's some people that are interested in having it. And I know quite a bit about the studies that have been done on it, that it's a huge benefit to students if they can start a little bit later. I get that. However, have they thought about timing of this? Because obviously we know we have contracts that have been here, that we have them for 3 and 4 years. There's contracts with the bus drivers. I mean, are they saying they want to do this immediately, like for next year? Is there any timing on it?
I did not get that sense, Ms. Riccio. I think that it's, they're pursuing this. An ad hoc committee was created. They want to get the sense of the elementary schools, if that's just something they would be interested in doing. And I think they're just going through their process right now. So
Great.
who knows when they'll get to that point of a yes or no for the Amity Middle Schools and the high school. But they did not say, we're doing this next year or this is the goal. But just doing the search and kind of following through that process.
Thank you.
I guess I would say, since it says they're requesting feedback, to me, it sounds like, as you said, it's an exploration committee at this point. And I also understand why they would be wanting to do this. But, thinking of the impact, I think just getting this information now was not very thoughtful on their part to just be finding out that this is going on. Maybe if we'd known sooner, we might have been able to have a conversation and actually deliver some specific feedback, so.
And in fairness, they did present this in November, not that would have extended it even more, but again, I think it's just the piece of not a yes or no, but is there any interest to changing our times versus, we'll do it, next year kind of a thing.
There was, the only thing I'll mention was, and I didn't know we were going to discuss this tonight, but, which is fine. I think it was just last week, and it might have been on MSN, there was an article that talked about this, and and I don't remember which school districts it referenced, but it did reference some. And and what they were getting at was the school started later, but the students were still getting the exact same amount of sleep time because they were going to bed later, they had found out. And it was due, I don't know if it was because they were going to work later or what it was, but it actually talked about this. So we'll research it. I'll research the article I found. I think it was last week. And it wasn't saying that it was good or bad, it was just saying, you know, here's what happens. The article was mostly geared towards, you need a set amount of hours dedicated every night, the same amount. And it didn't matter what, I mean, of course, if you wake up at 5 in the morning, that's a different story, but that's what they were getting at, so. Lauren, I see your hands up, go ahead.
Can we just clarify, what time would they start? Like, what do they do now versus what would they do? And the same for us? Can we talk about what that actually is?
The only thing I could go by, Mrs. Gray, is that they said about a half an hour. So, and again, what they're saying about, they reference the American Academy of Pediatrics that, you know, starting, it wouldn't be well if they started before 8:30, so I'm assuming 8:30.
Okay.
That's their goal then.
So that is an hour, because right now they start around 7:30. Yeah.
Okay, so they're looking to move from 7:35 to 8:05? Is that what we think?
I'm not sure I don't know that they're actually proposing anything definitive yet.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think they're at the beginning stages.
Okay, but we're looking at like a 30-minute shift for them, if it was 30 minutes.
If that was
it
the
would-
case,
Okay,
yes.
okay,
If it's an hour, then be an hour shift.
okay.
Okay, Ken?
We don't even know at this stage how serious they are about this. And this comes up a lot with Amity as far as the schedule and a problem with the schedule and can we change it? We happily partner with Amity, but we're independent. And if this works better for us contractually and every other way, then I would be happy to tell them, no, we can't possibly do that. We can look into it when the contracts run out, but we really don't want to change now.
And even with some of the discussions that I've had since this, and even items that board members have brought up, you know, when you have students competing in sports, again, this is not going to be our issue, it's going to be theirs. If Bethany and Orange and Woodbridge say, no, we're going to stay the same, that's fine. They can make those changes on their own. You know, how are you going to get students there when a competition is at a certain time or a game's at a certain time for the districts that don't follow that? So I'm sure there's ways around it, but I think they are going to have to be addressing those challenges as they proceed through their own process, too.
Yeah, there's, bringing up the sports thing, that is a problem, because I remember with my own sons, as soon as they got out of school, having to rush to whatever the game or practice was, because they only had limited hours of daylight.
Sometimes
So-
they have to dismiss early, so you're
yeah.
talking about even more school. But I think this is not an issue for us to worry about at this time. The flyer asks if we want to be part of the conversation. I guess that right now, that's a no from us.
But I think we should be, not to just jump in, I think we should be in somewhat, I do think we should be in the conversation, because we should be hearing what they're doing, so that we can do our reaction to it. So while I would not give any suggestions, I would just say that, to me, I think we need to know what's going on.
Yeah, as a board, I would feel comfortable with Dr. Scarpitti still attending and keeping us updated with what they're thinking of possibly doing.
Yeah, agree.
So, oh, Aaron.
Given that we have a limited amount of information based on this flyer, I think myself and perhaps others would be in favor of continuing to explore the Q&A that we have, and potentially, you know, like we said, be thoughtful and judicious about our timeliness, perhaps continue the conversation in the future. I think for the next academic year, I think that would be far too soon, but I am certainly in favor of continuing to explore this together with Amity. That doesn't mean yes or no, it just means that I'm in favor personally of continuing the conversation with more data elements and financial metrics.
Just to echo, I do think it's worth being a part of the conversation, and I think we need to hear from parents too. Like, you know, this is not just our decision, it affects parents. I'd really like to learn more about this and hear from parents and go from there.
Okay, well, that's good feedback. Well, so Tatiana, go
Just out
ahead.
of curiosity, have our teachers weighed in at all? Do they know about this?
Yeah, so I reached out to the union president of the administrative union group and the teachers. And so what I was reading is, I think they had a conversation, and that's some of the items that I just shared a moment
Gotcha.
ago. And at this time, they are not for that, but doesn't mean as they proceed, doesn't mean that I can't, and again, not to I think this is the direction you were sharing, Mr. Cap, that saying this time we are not interested, but as you evolve with getting more information, we'll be more than happy to share it with the board. If that's the direction you want me to go in.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I would still like you to attend the meetings and then just keep us updated. And we can explore it further once we have more information. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we need to stay in the loop.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And this is not the first time they've done, I mean, we've seen it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So does anyone else have anything else to discuss on that before we move on to our next item? Okay. All right, so we'll move on to board business item number 1, which is discussion and possible action on the 2026-2027 school calendar. I'll need a motion to accept the school calendar for 2026-2027 as presented. Ronette, second. Lauren, discussion. All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Item 2, discussion and possible action on the consideration of the appointment of an attorney. Do I have a motion to appoint Owen Wilson of Zabel Schallenberg, PLLC, as special counsel to the Board of Education and to authorize the board chair and/or superintendent to enter into a retainer agreement with Zabel Schallenberg, PLLC? Ronette? Amanda? Discussion.
Can we talk about why?
Okay, so,
Okay.
yes. So here, the discussion, I'm going to let Dr. Scarpetti explain.
So if anyone attended the last board meeting, there was questions we've had. And what the board has allowed me to do is had a variety of attorneys to consult with. So you met the main attorney that we used, who did the roles and responsibilities. We also use attorney from Bertram and Moses for special education. And we've also had on retainer the town's attorney. That has changed recently. And with what occurred last month with, and unfortunately, the board's attorney, Steve Sturr, that we consult with on more of a daily basis, he was actually at a board meeting he couldn't pick up. It's nice for me to have that backup, number 1. Number 2, we don't use the town's attorney that often. We use the town's attorney when we're dealing with contracts that have to be related to the buildings. That's what we use. That's what we've done in years past. The board has approved that in the past. I would like to have that just in case for the future. So typically, this is really contractual pieces that we deal with regarding the building and some pieces with programs and such.
So basically, the town attorney has changed, and it's Mr. Owen, is that his last name? And so because of that, we need to approve it. It's just a formality, it sounds like.
It is. It is.
Okay, well, okay, I think that's why we were, I don't think I understood that, but thank you.
Sorry, as a novice, it sounds like we have, I believe you mentioned 3 attorneys that we've kind of piecemealed in different areas, special education, something else, and then there's a backup. Can you just help me clarify how many attorneys we currently partner with?
There are, if we would count the town's attorney, it'd be 3.
And they all serve distinctly different functions?
They do.
Okay. And this is within those 3? This is not a 4th?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Anything
it's
else?
helpful for some people.
No, that's good. Good questions. Excellent questions.
Sure, correct me if I'm wrong, Owen was here, he was the 911 emergency lawyer that came in at the last meeting.
Yeah.
So that's who he's referencing in that, the
Yeah.
lawyer that came at the last meeting. That's
That's the town's
what we
attorney.
just voted on.
That's the town's attorney.
I don't know if that's helpful.
As a, sorry, can't think. As a protocol question, I was under the impression that we do a first read, second read, discuss, and then other meeting vote. Is that not the case with this?
For policies.
I see, okay.
Policies,
Understood.
yes, yeah.
Got it, thank you.
No, that's okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Got all that? Okay, all right, thank you all. We'll move on to board business. Item number 3, policy second read. Orange Board of Ed, policy 4113.12, minimum duty, free lunch periods. Do I have a motion to accept the Orange policy 4113.12, minimum duty, free lunch periods? Motion. Susan? Second. Lauren? Discussion, anyone? All in favor? Unanimous on that, okay. Item 4, policy second read, Orange Board of Ed policy 4131-4231, professional learning. Do I have a motion to accept Orange policy 4131-4231, professional learning? Ken, Tatiana, discussion. All in favor? That's unanimous as well. Item number 5, policy second read, Orange Board of Ed policy 5118.1, students who are homeless. Do I have a motion to accept Orange policy 5118.1, students who are homeless? Susan, second. I saw Ken's hand. Discussion? All in favor? Go ahead.
I just want to appreciate the rewriters of this to say students who are homeless and not homeless students. It's not only semantics, and I just really want to appreciate that change in the linguistics. We do this often in healthcare, and I think it's very valuable, so I just want to say thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other discussion? All in favor? Okay, and that's unanimous as well. So that will pass. Okay, moving over to policy below, second read. Okay, number 6, policy first reads. Orange Board of Ed policy 5145.12, search and seizure. That's a first read, so again, if you have questions, once you read through it, reach out to Betty and let her know any items that do come up. Next one is going to be, let's see here, Item 7, Orange Board of Ed policy. Oh, the policies below are no longer needed and will be voted on to rescind at the next Board of Ed meeting. Okay, and that's going to be item number 7, Orange Board of Ed policy 4112.4-4212.4, health examinations. And item number 8, Orange Board of Ed policy 6159.1, released time. Betty.
And I just want to say, for the health examinations, if you have not looked at it, this is about staff. This is not about students. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any questions on any of that? Okay, then we're going to move on to standing committees. Susan, you're up with Finance and Operations.
Thank you. The Finance and Operations Subcommittee met prior to this meeting, as we always do. All the financials are in order. We also reviewed the cafeteria update, as well as the audit and the grants. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to Personnel, Policy, Transportation. Betty.
Due to calendar restrictions, Dr. Scarpetti and I met regarding the policies that are first reads. Our whole committee we were not able to get a time where we could all be together. And as a result, the policies, the two to review to rescind, were policies that had been brought to our attention, and we decided that that would be something that would be easy for us to be able to move forward without the whole committee meeting. And the search and seizure policy is one that really just had a new first paragraph added to it. Very little had to change in that. And we will be meeting, I'm not sure when, only because we have now budget meetings and other meetings coming up. So we will have to see when we can have our whole committee able to be together. Thank you.
Erin, question?
Yes, thank you. Can we, just curious, the definition of district property, for my own knowledge and perhaps others, does that include or exclude buses or transportation of any kind that is within contract or whatever it is? Not non-parent cars.
I guess I'm not sure that I can answer that. District property, we don't own any of the buses, so I'm thinking that there really would not be, I mean, there are vehicles that do belong to the Board of Education. So I guess those district properties would be
Correct.
part of
I
this.
think it's the extension of the school, so I think that would allow for it, so, but I could confirm that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Nope. Okay, we'll move over to buildings and grounds, safety and security. Anthony?
So the only update I had was already mentioned by Dr. Scarpetti and Mr. Gray a couple times. And that was earlier this month. They met and presented to the capital planning committee, capital requests. So that's really the only update. The building and grounds will probably meet sometime soon after the new year.
Okay, any questions? Moving over, curriculum and instruction, Ken?
Have a good summer. Oh, no, no, sorry, that's wrong. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. No, we're not meeting until 2026.
Okay. I'm assuming there's no questions. ACES report, Susan?
So ACES met this past Thursday, December 11th, at Skiff Street in Hamden, as we always do. It's one of my favorite meetings because it is our Student Holiday Presentation Awards. In front of all the board members, they have cards in front of them. Each of those cards are different. They're all created by students, and it's just amazing. We get to give them, this award and a gift and, a whole package of their own cards as well, which they love. It's heartwarming to actually get to see the students at this meeting. In addition, we met with CABE, who is doing our search for our executive director, who is retiring. And that took 2 hours, which was joyful, but very thorough and helpful. So we did policy work. We also did some of the operations. A couple of our items ended up having to be tabled because we were getting to close to 3 p.m. We started at noon. So for us, that's a really long meeting. But all of our building construction projects are going well, and that was one of my big concerns, that were we still on schedule, and the answer is yes. So, questions? Betty?
Just thank you very much for these beautiful cards, which I now look forward to receiving. Thank you.
You're welcome. They also gave us a mug that had one of them, I forgot to bring it in, and an ornament that just says ACES on it, which was very nice. So it's generous of them. Thank you. Glad you guys can enjoy them.
Ken?
I just have to congratulate ACES for, Susan, what are you, what's the term? What are you?
Chairman of the board.
Chairman. It's an excellent idea.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? No? Okay. Again, right before we adjourn, I'm also, as well, I'm going to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays. It's a very special time of the year for everyone out there. Hopefully, we don't get much more snow, so Mr. Gray's crews aren't working too crazy over the holidays, but who knows? Maybe we'll have a special white day coming up. So I'm looking for a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Susan, Ken, discussion, none. All in favor? Unanimous. We are ending this meeting at 8:14 PM. Thank you
Nice.
all.